Hello, I'm ShieldWar100 and welcome back to Gotham for another Batman Miniatures game report, and this time we are seeing the factions, the Court of Owls, taking on the League of Assassins itself, led by none other than Ra's al Ghul. Two factions which very much employ the same kind of tactics in the comics, stealth and assassinations, but both have their distinct flavour in the Batman Miniatures game, which is really awesome, and I'm hoping that that comes to becomes clear during the course of this game. No idea yet, let's see. But yes, it's going to be another good one, I hope. And yeah, I'm going to go off and show you who's in which crews now. Okay? And we're going to start with the Court of Owls. As you can see here, it's a fairly small crew, only 6 models, but hopefully enough for the task at hand. Led by the court themselves in the middle there, with their intel support wall, rendering them as a sort of a marking token as to where their actual presence is on the board. They can't be attacked, or can they attack themselves? But it's a great model, and I think it really ties in well with the game's play style and the thematic style of this crew. For the Talons chosen for the task, you can see looming behind them the Butcher as their free agent. Yeah, he's I do like him, and he's massive oversized model, and actually has the offensive capability to boot now. Carrying on, we've got O'Malley's son as he was kind of the filler in at the end, to be perfectly honest, but he's a Talon in his own right, and he can do the trick. Dementor, because I really like the model. I really like his kind of difference he has between him and the others, because he's got armor. He's also got a lot of abilities to inspire, he has the ability to inspire fear in opponents as well, and a whole bunch of other things. He's suitably psychopathic for the task at hand. And over here, two almost guarantees to take in my Court of Owls list because of the way they work. William Cobb, the Talon, as I like to think of him, because he's the first one who appears in the comics, and I just really like his pose, and he's got his own objective card, and he can deal a huge amount of damage with his combination knives, etc. He's awesome, and pretty lethal, very fast as well. And Ephraim Newhouse, finally. Really like him because of his primary target rule. Being able to use an opponent's suspect marker as one of your own is awesome for marking people as prey. Just gives you that little bit more versatility, and in a crew that doesn't have much versatility, you can, being able to use your opponent's suspect markers, pretty bloody useful for marking people as prey. And he's awesomely armed as well. And just to let you know, with all the amazing amount of funding I had left over, I have outfitted these Talons with all manner of implements of destruction. We've got genetic alteration, we've got ancient weapons, we've got ancient training, and a grapple gun as well altogether. I think that's on Gotham Butcher, representing great bounding leaps, I'm guessing, rather than an actual grapple gun. But yeah, so yes, this crew is incredibly dangerous to tangle with, and it'll take something like a League of Assassins, if such a thing existed, to defeat them. Well, let's see what they're bringing. And as if by smoke they appear. Right, here we go. Ra's al Ghul, centre on his big boy on a big boy base. Yeah, love it. I just love this model so much as well. That's why I'd like to use him more than Talia, who arguably is probably a better fit for the way this crew's objective cards work. But look at this guy, and he can certainly dish out the punishment as well. Probably necessary when you're dealing with vicious, regenerating assassins such as the Court of Owls will be bringing. Might be a lot on Ra's today. We'll see. Of course, the fact that he's pretty much immortal means that you can't score cards off of him dying, which might be something that the Court of Owls has a problem with, but we'll see as the game goes on. Right, he's flanked, of course, by Ubu, his proud bodyguard, who's awesome, and we're taking Hush too as the team's free agent. I'm desperate to get have him actually have a useful a game on my channel, because I know he's such a great versatile character. But his presence doubles up the mastermind bonus for this crew with Ra's. Also, the scheming will help as well, because Ra's doesn't have the scheming ability like his daughter does, and hopefully the scheming too on Hush here will mitigate that somewhat and help with the objective deck. And yeah, I like this model. Right, so for the acolytes we're going with the falconry archer dude and the 2 close combat ones. Guy who is really enjoying jumping off that pillar, and cautious knife man as well. Again, a bunch of purchased war gear, mostly on jumping sword dude, in order to make him a bit of a one-shot kill sort of thing. Yeah, it's not as much to spend due to the few firearms and ranged weapons we've got, but nonetheless combat braces here and there and some nasty surprises as well. Okay, that's both crews, both looking pretty small, only 6 models apiece, so yeah, it's not going to be a big old epic game, I don't think, in terms of the size or the length, but it'll be epic in terms of the bloodshed, I hope, or at least the scoring, or whatever, the tactics, or whatever we want to see. All right, well, enough of me wittering on. Let's get deploying and see what's going to happen. Okay, and everyone's deployed and on the board. Right, just to let you know, we picked Showdown as the deployment zones for this game. I handpicked this one because it's a nice easy one for me to get hold of, and yeah, I didn't actually shuffle up the deck this time. I just picked this one. I wanted to do it, I'll be honest, you know. Right, so yeah, it's a nice straightforward 8-inch deployment zone, and both sides have to tip the location of their leaders, sidekicks or free agents first, but didn't make a huge amount of difference in the end anyway, given the nature of the crews. There's no long-range snipers as such ready to cause huge amounts of damage from across the board here, so just an arrow or two, so yeah, it's probably okay. Alright, let's start with the League of Assassins, and the main man race here is surrounded by one of his acolytes and Ubu, of course, both of whom are henchmen, therefore can be inspired by his presence. Hush dropped on top of this little cab here, and the covering fire provided hopefully by Arrow falconry at Archer up there, and a bit of infiltration there, as you can see, from the acolyte with the sword. He hasn't gone too crazy in terms of where he could deploy. He could deploy anywhere out of sight, so he could have gone as far forward to this side of the building, but he's got great mobility himself, and also these talons on the Court of Outside are very, very fast themselves, so he could have easily put himself in an isolated position where he could be easily killed. At least there he has some form of defense in the presence of his friends behind him, but still placed well enough to cause trouble, we hope. Moving around to the Court of Owl's side, we've got the Gotham Butcher bulldozing his way up the road there. We have Dementor and William Cobb over here on this side of the building. Both have got the genetic alteration upgrade, which means that they get fast, which means they're moving at rocket speeds of 12 inches basic each turn. The court themselves just pop themselves behind the building, mainly so they can give inspiration in the first turn. They actually have their instant sort of teleport, Shadow's Perch rule, which will allow them to move up the board soon anyway. And yes, finally the last 2 henchmen, Ephraim Newhouse and the O'Malley's son, Talon, next to this sewer marker back here, ready to use it to zip up the board as needs be. Okay, that's deployment. The owl markers are here, here, and here. And yeah, I've drawn cards. It's ready to start turn 1. Right, let's get on to the first turn's activations. Okay, nice easy first phase for me, because neither side had any cards to play in neither the first or second parts of the turn. Neither take the lead or raise the plan had any objective cards to play. Hurrah for me, less narration. Right, we do need to tell you who's got Audacity though. Well, first of all, the League of Assassins easily got the initiative for the first turn by dint of having 2 masterminds on their side, giving them +2 to their initiative roll. Nice. So they'll be going first, and that may well continue long if Hush and Raish remain on the board. In terms of who got Audacity, I'm over here with the court, so easy enough to see that the Gotham Butcher Dementor, William Cobb and Ephraim Newhouse all have Audacity for them. And then crossing the board, probably won't have to cross the board too many times through the course of this game as things get close and personal later. But we've got Raish, of course, give your leader Audacity, and that really holds true for this crew. Hush in case he wants to do something because he can't be inspired. The Falconry Archer and the guy who's got the grapple gun, and the Venom Dose. And the big double-handed sword. Give him the Audacity counter. Right, that's that then. I think that concludes everything. There's no scheming or what have you to tell you about. So we're going to go into activations now. The League of Assassins to go first. And the first action of the game taken by League Acolyte 2 there with the 2 knives. He had a very simple one. He didn't have Audacity. He simply moved up around from Raish. Although he was not given Audacity, he did have inspiration, so he was able to put down a suspect marker using that manipulate action. He also played a objective card from the hand. We cannot be defeated. It's played now. It will score the end of the turn, as you can see there, for 2 victory points. And in order to do that, the league will have to have fulfilled the criteria of have at least 3 suspects in play within 6 inches of each other. So we'll see if they can manage that, okay? But yeah, that will stand play till the end of the turn, so we can wait and see. It certainly gives, they certainly got off to a start with that by putting down a suspect marker. Right, over to the Court of Owls for their first go. Well, Dementor didn't see the point in pussyfooting around. He activated from all the way back there where his Audacity marker still resides. He had Audacity and he was inspired by the presence of the court. He moved forwards. I didn't really count this as impaired movement, that little gap there. He's a Talon for crying out loud. And yeah, he got here and he popped down a suspect marker with his manipulate action, and he then tried to inspire fear, put some effort into looking extra scary of this Acolyte, and the Acolyte still managed to pass his willpower roll, so no effects there. This Acolyte's more scared of his master behind him than he is of the Talon approaching. Having done that, the court tried to use this suspect marker and play Talon's Claw as a resource, which is where they would mark a model as prey within 4 inches of it, and well, the owl marker is there as well, so it would normally be able to mark this Acolyte as prey in order to get him marked for death, and therefore liable to have all sorts of bad things happen to him, and maybe even and hopefully score some points too for the court. But it was not to be. Ra's al Ghul has Exhaustive Planner, which was used to nullify this resource card, so the card still gets played but the effects don't take place, so the model is not marked as as prey, sorry, but also I'm not going to remove the suspect marker because that's also an effect of the card. So yeah, okay, so yes, there's still another Exhaustive Planner here with Hush too, so boo for that. But yes, this league crew does seem to have some things which really will annoy the Court of Owls playstyle. Not only is their leader difficult to off, being immortal and all, and tough to boot in the first place. I mean, attack and defense 5 is nothing to be sniffed at. Well, it's bloody good. But also, yes, Exhaustive Planner to mess around with the court's need to play resource cards to cycle their deck and use their actually use their abilities. It's going to be annoying possibly. We'll see. After that, finally, one last thing. As an objective card played from the hand, the court's secure bases was used by the Court of Owls. Nothing the league can do about that. For 2 points, we've seen it before when we played the Owls. They had to choose one of their friendly owl markers. They've chosen the one on top of this lovely red car over here. Basically, there's a counter that will tick up on that every time there's no enemy models nearby. At the end of each enemy model's activation after this. So basically the League of Assassins have to try and get over there to prevent a counter from ticking up. If the counter reaches 3, then the card will score for 2 points. So it's another one, and this one will stay out in play as long as necessary. So this owl marker is marked for the rest of the game. Going to be a difficult one for the league to shut down forever. I mean, given the fact that they've got things of their own to do, so maybe they'll just let that one go for 2 points, but we'll see. It's in the middle of the board at least, so there we are. Okay, that's Dementor's activation. Nice big one for him. Statement of intent, perhaps. The Court of Owls is right in the middle of the board there. They don't care about they're not scared, let's put it that way. Well, Ubu was up next. Again, no audacity for him. He just popped forwards and put down a suspect marker because he was inspired by the presence of his master, Ra's al Ghul, as most people will probably be. And so another fairly quiet start there for the League of Assassins, but what they're doing is they're building up their suspect marker bank, their little power source of suspect markers in close proximity, which you kind of need to do early on with them because it ties into so many of their objective cards as the game progresses. I mean, they've already got one in play which requires 2 within 6 inches, so that's how it be for them. They're probably going to try and tease out a bit more from the court before they start acting in earnest. O'Malley's son up next. He did not have audacity, if you remember. He was around the far side of that building over there, but what he did do was manipulate the sewer marker to pop himself through the sewers and right into this light of the street lamp over here. Maybe that will bite him on the bum, maybe it won't. He was also inspired, pardon me there, and so he was able to put down another suspect marker just here. And once again, Talon's Claw was played as a resource because they had a second copy in the hand, lucky for them. And tried to mark this guy's prey once again in the same old manner, but once again Exhaustive Planner, this time from Hush, came out to block the move, and so this guy's still not marked as prey. The League of Assassins doing everything they can to prevent this. They just want to make sure they can get a good headway of points before the Court of Owls can has the incentive to start murdering people, because at the moment the court really has a problem. They can kill models easy enough, especially when they get real up and close and can start picking their targets. The trouble is they don't really score points for it unless they can mark the models as prey first, so this might cause them hesitancy and give more offensive time for the league themselves, but we shall see. Finally, the court secure bases was played once again, so many copies of the same cards in the hand here for the Court of Owls. Again, 2 points, owl marker, 4 inches, numeric counter, etc, etc. They're going with this owl marker this time because it kind of pins this acolyte in place, and he does like to run off and hit people. So so this one and this one are currently ticking up with their numeric counters there, and points are in the bag for the court if they manage it. Right, we're going to move on now back to the League of Assassins. Well, uncharacteristically, I've gone to move the leader of one of my crews before the end of the first turn, and Ra's al Ghul has activated. He moved forward and popped down this suspect marker just on here. I put him in contact with the base, so I figured he could put the suspect marker up here since he's in touching distance of it. And yes, that's basically his he did activate Deadly Strike on his sword just in case he gets a swing later on. He has an objective card that might allow that, but I don't think it will. So yeah, just in case. It's his special action, it's the only one he's got. So yes, he's moved up the board, popped down a suspect marker, and yes, he's certainly helping with the bank of suspects they do really want. Okay, that concludes the League's activations. Back to the Court of Owls now. William Cobb, aka the Talon, also moved. I forgot he had the undercover rule and therefore should have moved 8 inches out of his deployment zone at the beginning of the game. My mistake. Oh well, remember that next time, Lee. Yeah. He moved forwards over to here, and then he had audacity, so he used his tactical action to throw his throwing knives at Ubu and hit with each dice, causing 3 points of blood damage, which is nasty. Not enough to really worry the hulking bodyguard just yet, but it all counts, and could be a telling factor later on in the game. And that concludes William Cobb's activation. But in terms of card play, Valuable Commodities, a generic card, was added to the deck, and they played it as a resource for 2 of their 3 resource points, so a bit of an investment gets them to draw 3 cards for the court. They're desperately trying to cycle their deck to bring out more prey causing cards. So hopefully that will help them there. And a objective card was also played, an Owl's Tail as well. Played in this phase, scores whenever whenever, as soon as the court have at least two friendly owl markers and one friendly suspect within 4 inches of the same enemy model. So if they ever notice that's happened, they can get those 2 points, and this will stay on the board for as long as it takes. Right, well, so yeah, plenty of card cycling there from the Court of Owls. That could worry the league, but it's back to the league now. See what they can do. Okay, we're up to League Acolyte number 3 with the Falcon. He had a bit of a full turn. He started back here with Audacity, and so the first thing he did was use his special action to activate his falconry ability, which allows him to shoot outside of cover and line of sight, which from back here meant he could target William Cobb with his poisoned arrow and cause 1 hit, and that was enough for 2 points of blood and poison 1 for the remainder of the game on the Talon there. Okay, right, he was still inspired by Ra's al Ghul just from over here, so he used his movement action to pop up and then put down a suspect marker. Having done that, he played multiple threats from the hand as an objective card. We've seen this before. 3 lovely points if this works out. We'll check it at the end of this turn. Right, so there's 4 suspect markers for the league on the board, so they put down a number on each of them, so 1, 2, 3 and 4 in various different places. At the end of the turn, they'll roll a d6, and if one of those numbers comes up, they'll score this lovely card. So the court really, if they want to stop this from scoring, needs to get on and take away some of these suspect markers, but I think it might be a little bit too late in the turn perhaps to do that now, but we'll see, and it may not pay off for the league anyway. There's a couple of numbers missing, so yeah. At the end of the turn, the first court secure basis card had ticked up to 3 points because simply no league member had the testicular fortitude to get within 4 inches of this owl marker over here on the car. So 2 points scored for the first score of the game. 2 points for the Court of Owls, not even in their turn. Right, okay, let's get back to them now. Well, the court themselves activated, and yes, they didn't have Audacity, if you remember. What they do have, though, is the ability to teleport across the board to within 4 inches of a friendly owl marker. So here they are sitting in the water feature, nicely placed in the centre of the board to give maximum influence for the rest of the game. Don't forget, they're still the Court of Owls leader, so all of their Talon henchmen will be getting inspired by their presence, and that's a central position is really good for them and their various buff abilities as well. That's all they can do this turn though without Audacity. Giving them Audacity is a bit of a waste, to be perfectly honest anyway. Right, next things up, they played the Mission William Cobb signature card, but they played it as a resource for 0 points. Love these 0 point resources the court has, it really helps them with their deck. Target enemy model within 4 inches of a friendly model by the name of William Cobb and a friendly suspect. So they went with this acolyte here. He's just within 4 inches, and he's easily of William Cobb, and he's easily within 4 inches of this suspect marker. We removed that suspect. I'll do that in just a second. Sorry for the horrible focusing there, my bad. Just realised what I'm doing. And they were able to mark him as prey. Hurrah! Hurrah, hurrah. They finally managed to mark him as prey, and now this card will be returned to the deck and they will shuffle it. Okay. Having done that, as an objective card from their hand as well, the Owl's Labyrinth was played. It will play now. It will take effect next time the acolyte moves, because they have to target him. The one with the sword who's just been marked as prey, that is. Right, next time he activates, and he hasn't gone yet this turn, if he moves, the court will score the 2 points. If he doesn't move, he gets innovated too. So yeah, a bit of a no-win situation for the acolyte, but it does mean that when it gets to his turn, the guy with the sword has to stay still, which kind of sucks for him and might be a quandary for the league. They'll have to think carefully about what they want to do with him, because he is, he's kind of in a dangerous position. Right, so that's that. We're now going to move on to the League of Assassins turn. That was the Court of Owls. Well, League Acolyte what's his number? Number 1, sorry, activated and decided that he didn't care about the Owl's Labyrinth or whatever. He was going to activate and he was going to use his Venom Dose, and so he did on William Cobb, the Talon, who's taken some damage already from an arrow, so want to pile on that damage while they can. He moved up, he took his Venom Dose, gave him 2 free efforts, he made up the effort limit with one of his own. William Cobb took off as many dice as he could with his effort, as you can see. The strength die did get through, and because of the martial expert rule, the League Acolyte causes critical hits with bleed 1 on 4, 5 or 6s rather than just the 6s, so yes, a critical was easily scored, and yeah, especially with the Venom Dose bonus too, and yeah, that meant that William Cobb took 3 points of blood damage from the one solitary strength die based hit. Doesn't knock him down because bleed activates instead of being knocked down, but that blood damage is a tricky one to deal with, and yeah, so unfortunately it wasn't enough to sushi William Cobb, whose defensive stats are just too good for this guy to get through. Unfortunately, this guy normally has sneak attack as well, but William could see him from the beginning of his turn, so sneak attack was not going to activate, and that very much meant that William Cobb stayed alive. But yes, having moved, it did mean that the Owl's Labyrinth does score for the Court of Owls, giving him another 2 victory points without answer from the league yet. But yeah, that's that done, and well, we're going to move back to the court now, see what they make of this. From Newhouse up for the court themselves, and he had an interesting turn. Well, first of all, the last of the Court of Owls' resource points was used to play the Owl's Labyrinth as a resource, of course. Right, moving enemy model marchers prey 4 inches. It was, however, this acolyte was within 4 inches of an owl marker, so therefore he was teleported through a sewer into contact here with Ephraim Newhouse at the back of the board. So yeah, there you go. Pretty nasty that, getting whipped through the corners. Hang on, 2 ticks. Not you. No, sorry. Right. Okay, and so yes, and then carnage ensued, as you can see, a vicious round of attacks from Weapon Master Ephraim Newhouse against this assassin, taught him how to murder in the shadows, and yeah, did so, killed the League Acolyte outright. This had a couple of effects. First of all, easy enough, Talon's Claw was played as an objective this time, and 2 points there, because they removed an enemy mortal martyr's prey as a casualty. Nice and simple, and what the court would be wanting to do all turn. And finally, because the casualty was caused, the owl marker that was over here in front of the court popped itself down here 4 inches. It was within 4 inches of this League Acolyte over here, along with the other owl marker and this suspect marker. This suspect marker is a League one, however, Ephraim Newhouse in his turn can treat it as a friendly one. So an Owl's Tail was scored from earlier on. Remember, it was played at least 2 friendly owl markers and 1 friendly suspect within 4 inches of the same enemy model, and well, this now qualifies during the course of Ephraim's activation. So there you go, 2 more points for the Court of Owls. I believe that gives them 8 scored for no reply yet from the League. Whew. But who knows what's bubbling away in the shadows, right? Okay, well, back to the League. Oh, and I did forget to mention, sorry, that Ephraim is actually going to nip up the side of the board as his movement action. Hasn't got another manipulate, unfortunately, to nip through the sewer marker himself, but I believe he can get, sorry, just up there. So hang on, I'll just show you. He is, there you go, he's around that side. I pre-measured it, so there you go. Okay, now I'm going to move back to the League. And yes, for the final activation of the turn, actually for the League that is, not the final activation for the League, I believe, it's Hush himself, Tommy Elliott. He activated, he stayed put and opened fire on William Cobb. Now Cobb was outside of the maximum range of the weapons, but of the handgun, which took the strength die off, but he was not out of line of sight despite the darkness because the lamppost just there. So just in line of sight. That was the flip side of the Court of Owls dynamic foray into the middle of the board is that they've been illuminated quite a lot. And yeah, he's dead. There was 2 remaining shots, both of which rolled 4 pluses with the benefit of the master marksman ability from Hush there, so they both hit, and that was the last 2 points of blood damage that Cobb could take, having been assailed from numerous angles during the course of the turn. That finished him off. Then Hush activated his gunman ability with a special action and fired again, and did another couple of hits on O'Malley's son over here, dealing 2 points of blood and 2 points of stun apiece. So there you go, pretty good turn that. He then decided to move up and ended that. Okay, so over to the court now for their last activation of turn 1. And finally, for the turn, the Butcher, with a massive move of 18 inches from over here, engaged his grapple gun, and he's got fast and movement 10 basic, so yeah, he could just about get here, and he thwacked into the League Acolyte number 2, I think he is, yes, one of the knives, and yeah, just bundled forwards and, well, attacked him, doing 3 points of stun, and 3 points of blood. I forgot, 3 points of stun, 3 points of blood, sorry, my mistake. Yeah, which was pretty brutal, pretty nasty, and yeah, split damage, so it didn't tear him asunder, thank goodness, but not necessarily on the cards for the court at this point either, so there you are. They want to mark people as prey so they can get points for it. I forgot to mention, when William Cobb passed away, the court used that to move this owl marker from down here up to here, so yes, it's now outside of 4 inches of any enemy models, so it will start accruing the court secure bases numeric counters there for future turns, future activations, whatever. But yes, that concludes the courts, well, the Butcher's go. That concludes all the models moving and activating for the first turn. We're going to move to the recount phase now, and I'll be able to catch up with you on what's happened and who scored what. See you in a sec. Well, a fair amount did happen. A whole bunch of stun damage came off of each model which was afflicted by it. The Court of Owls, of course, with their talons infused with regenerating serums as they are, managed to get rid of an additional 1 point of anything they want. So some of them have been getting rid of blood markers as well. Looking at you, grandson there. In terms of scoring cards, well, the Court of Owls had nothing to score. They've been scoring throughout the turn. That's how their deck works. They don't really save much up to the end. The League, very much a different story. So where do we start? First of all, they played We Cannot Be Defeated earlier in the turn, and they easily have 3 suspect markers within 6 inches of each other, the court being rather more focused on scoring their own cards and doing damage than stopping the League, and this is what it means. So 2 points there. Multiple threats, here we are, did come off for them. They rolled 4, I think, and there was a marker of 4 on there, so they get their 3 points. Lovely. Out of the hand came Eradicate the Order for a lovely 3 points. Played in this round, scores in the same. They have to have more friendly suspects than enemy suspects in play, and they really do easily manage that. So 3 points, nice. And finally, they also scored Do Not Deviate from the Plan, another one that activates in this phase alone. Opponent did not reveal any suspects of yours, the League's, in this round, and they placed at least one. Well, the Court of Owls didn't reveal any suspects of the League, so there you go, counts as another 2 points. So I believe that, yes, 3-3 and 2-2 is 10, meaning that the League has scored 10 points in one phase. Pretty good, and I believe that also puts them in the lead from turn 1 as well, despite all the actions of the Court of Owls at the beginning. So there you go, it was all in the plan for them, so to speak. It's just it wasn't obvious. Very much a stealth sort of crew, the League, as opposed to the brutality of the court. The court secure bases is still bubbling away. It's on this owl marker back here and hasn't got any counters on it yet, but just to let you know, that's still going. There are no other cards out in play for either side, so that makes it nice, easy, clean, fairly clean slate for the beginning of turn 2, which is what I'm going to go into now. Okay, see you in a sec. News just in, I am an idiot and I forgot something at the end of last turn during the Gotham Butcher's activation. It's a big one. I totally forgot. I don't know how I put the card to one side. The League managed to play Yours to Command, which is Ubu's specific objective card. They managed to score it for 3 points during the Gotham Butcher's activation. I put it to one side thinking, oh yeah, I mentioned that, and then didn't, and then forgot in like a minute afterwards. Basically, a friendly model does not suffer KO or removed as a casualty from an attack that had at least 4 successful hits before the defense roll. Well, the Gotham Butcher was hitting on 2s with his ancient training, and managed to cause a whole bunch of hits, which were then reduced down to 3 by the League Acolyte, which means that yes, this does score. Sorry, for 3 more points for the League of Assassins, even further increasing their lead. But you know, we're in mixing it range now, so maybe the tougher Talons will come into their fore now. But we'll see that in turn 2, which I am going to move to now. I just thought I'd let you know that I had done that, and it's a bit of a big deal because it's 3 points. And we're back after the first 2 phases of the second turn. Right, okay, in the first phase, take the lead. The Court of Owls lost initiative again to the League of Assassins, not surprising at all given the 2 masterminds on the League's side. From the Shadows was played as a objective from the League of Assassins. 2 points, target enemy model. If that model is the first model you remove as a casualty, score this card. They went with the Gotham Butcher, of all things, the big guy here. If they take him out of the game first, he is kind of embroiled though, so he's certainly not invulnerable, and he's a fairly big target, so yeah. They'll get 2 points if they kill him first. I mean, it's not like they were going to be able to kill the League, the Court even, sorry. God, get your terms rightly. Right, and in the second phase, for the Court's part, they had a couple of cards to play. They played Terrible Accident, which is a card which will not score for them, but it does get it out of the hand. It's the one where they get 3 points if by the end of the turn the current enemy boss or model with the highest reputation cost is not in the gaming area. Well, that's Raish, and they certainly can remove him from the gaming area. They have the wherewithal to do that in their what's it called, in their crew. Unfortunately, they can't score points as a result of his death, so those 3 points won't be coming their way. But hey, if they get him out of the board, they can then start applying that effect to other people, because new bosses have to be picked. But right, they also played Gotham is Ours, which is more likely to come about for them. For 2 points, at the end of the turn, they have to have a suspect marker each within 4 inches of 3 pieces of scenery. 2 picked by them, 1 picked by their opponent. The 2 pieces that they picked was this van over here. Here's its suspect marker, and the red car, which already has a suspect marker nearby, but now it has another one. Okay, and for the League's part, they made it so that this funky hut down here needed to be have a suspect marker in 4 inches of it for the Court, and the Court put their suspect marker just here. So there you go. So each of those pieces of scenery have to have a Court of Owls suspect marker within 4 inches at the end of the turn to score those points. It's a tricky one, and one that's easy to forget once you're embroiled, but we'll see how the League handles it. Okay, right. We're going to move into activations now. Once I've told you who's got Audacity. So for the League of Assassins, it's Hush, as you can see, Raish al Ghul, of course, the Falconry Assassin, and Ubu. Meanwhile, for the Court of Owls, we've got Dementor, Gotham Butcher, the O'Malley's son, and what's his called? The Ephraim Newhouse. All the Talons. Okay, right. Back into the fight. Back into the fray. Well, Raish to the rescue, I guess, for this assassin down here. He activated first, taking full advantage of his fact that he has the mastermind ability and will almost always go first in this game. Right, he moves into base contact with the Gotham Butcher, and then both sides put maximum effort in when the fight came about, and because Raish is hitting on 2s with his weapon master ability, he hit with every single die, including the strength die, and the Gotham Butcher, with his paltry defense of 3, failed to block any of the hits, meaning that all 10 blood damage went through. As you can see there, that removes the Gotham Butcher quite horribly for the for the Court of Owls there. So horrible damage. So yes, the Gotham Butcher was butchered, and that will score the 2 points at the end of the turn for the objective card played by the League earlier this turn. Right, a couple of objective cards played. Multiple threats for the League of Assassins. 3 points, we saw it before. They've put numerical counters on their suspect markers, so they've got 5 in play now, I do believe. And so they've got a good chance of scoring this one at the end of the turn. Right, and I forgot that objective marker cards can be played in your opponent's turn, of course, if they don't say that they don't need to be. So the Court Secure Bases was played for the Court of Owls. They're just trying to build up that numeric counter. So this one over here has got it. So yep, the one on the red car again has the Court Secure Bases, so the league needs to get someone over there to prevent that from counting up, but they probably won't. But yes, this is going rather well for the league so far in terms of points. So maybe they're better off sticking to their own game plan rather than trying to adapt to the Court of Owls. But right, well, that was pretty gruesome. We're going to move back to the Court of Owls now, see if they can do anything about this. Well, both bosses are going to take the advantage of going first for their crews this turn, and the court were activated next. They put an effort into goading this acolyte down here, which they succeeded in doing, giving him innovating 2 for his next time he tries to make effort. The reason for doing that was to put an effect on him, which enabled them to score "I'm feeling weird" for 2 points, inflicting an effect on an enemy model, and they do that. So there you go. Put that down, Bosco. Sorry, my cat is trying to eat my models. And we're going to now move back. I'm going to put a cat in the back in the garden if he's not careful. And I'm going to move on to the league's turn. That was the only card to score that turn. This league acolyte with the 2 knives activated next. He didn't have audacity, but he was inspired by his master's presence. After that display against Gotham Butcher, I'm not surprised. He moved along here and picked up the suspect marker by revealing it with his inspiration-based manipulate action. Doing this not only messes with the Gotham is Ours objective for the Court of Owls, but also enabled him to play the Fire Risers from the hand for 2 victory points. A friendly model reveals an enemy suspect within 6 inches of a friendly boss. Well, he did it right under his boss's gaze. So 2 lovely victory points there for the league. Jeez. And that concludes his activation. Back to the court. F from Newhouse next. He zipped around from where his audacity marker is round to here. There was a suspect marker there. It's gone now because he revealed it. It was one of his own, which enabled him to play valuable commodities from the hand. They saw it last turn as the resource. Now it's the objective. It manifests as that loot counter, which he'll be holding on to. If the Court of Owls have that loot counter in their possession at the end of the game, they'll score the lovely 3 points. So another one bubbling away for them in the background. We'll see how these all bear out for them. He also then played an Owl's Tail as a resource for 0 resource points. You can see there, and they've turned Ra's al Ghul into prey. And because F from Newhouse was the one doing it, he used one of the league's own suspect markers to count as friendly to him, and used it to turn Ra's into prey. Obviously, again, killing Ra's won't net them points, but it will take a powerful model off the board, and there's a whole bunch of things you can do to prey to mess around with them, so hopefully that will help the court. Okay, right, we'll go back to the League of Assassins now and see what more plots they're hatching. Ubu activated next. He had audacity, so he strode up from back here onto the plinth and popped down a suspect marker with his inspiration-based manipulate action, allowing him to play under their noses. Instantaneous score of 2 points because he put a friendly model, that's him, put a suspect within 4 inches of an enemy suspect, and there you go, nice proximity. He's just done that. He then attempted to inspire fear in Dementor but failed, even though we put some effort in, so he decided instead to try and thwack him with the sword, and did a pretty good job, got 2 hits through after all was said and done. Don't forget Dementor's pretty good defensive stats anyway, and hand has armor, but 2 hits got through, doing 4 points of blood damage to the Talon. Pretty gross. So yes, that concludes Ubu's turn. The court then actually played as a resource the Court's Edict, which is the court's own specific objective card for 1 resource point. It allows them to bring a model with the reanimated owl back and put it on the board, back from the dead that is, and they pop down William Cobb, who it was very tempting to go for the Gotham Butcher, but William Cobb's just got a lot more options available to him than just hit people, and Cobb can do a lot of damage with his knives, potentially even more than the Butcher. So they went with Cobb. Maybe it's a mistake, but we'll see. And so they've got a Talon back. Apparently they can't activate this turn. when you bring someone back on. So there you go. He'll be waiting for next turn to do anything, but yeah, there you go. Cobb's back on, and yeah, we're going to move now to the court, see how they respond to this turn. Right, Dementor activated next, having just escaped death at the hands of Ubu. He activated with Audacity. So first things first, he was over here, and we noticed that, well, I noticed that Ubu actually fulfilled the criteria to score an Owl's Tail already, which is what we saw last turn. 2 victory points, have at least 2 friendly Owl markers and 1 friendly suspect within 4 inches of the same enemy model. Well, Ubu thought he was so smart moving up here to stop this one and this one both from scoring the court secure bases, but unfortunately, yeah, it was not to be, because it actually meant that with this suspect marker here as well, he scored an Owl's Tail instead for the court. So that happened nice and early at the beginning of the activation. Dementor then moved down here and attacked the prey, Ra's al Ghul. He used as a resource Terrible Accident for 1 resource point. There's 1 resource point left for the court now. A friendly model gains 1 free effort or 3 free efforts when targeting model marked as prey. So he got an extra 3 dice into the thing. As you can see, both sides efforted to their maximum as well anyway, and yeah, he managed to, surprisingly, with his Dementor's Claw, which has bleed 2, he actually caused a critical hit, which meant that he did 4 points of blood damage and 2 points of stun damage. Quite surprising, really. I thought that Ra's would be able to easily block all the other hits. Maybe if the strength die got through, no big deal. But no, 2 hits got through altogether, thanks to the barrage of extra dice. And yeah, that was enough to knock Ra's al Ghul out. He's got 8 willpower and he's taken 8 points of stun damage. So he is KO'd. He's not out of the game. He doesn't score any points. There's no cards fulfilled. But nonetheless, that's a bit of a surprise and a bit of a blow for the league. So yeah, Dementor is sitting pretty there, and yeah, he's and a card scored as well. Lovely. So he's having fun. That's the important thing. Right, moving back on, and with the rest of the game, next is the league to activate. And Hush activated next, lingering as he was at the end of the last frame. And yes, I decided that now is the best time to try and take out Dementor whilst he was in range, in sight, etc, etc. And so yes, a barrage of fire, two more rounds of fire from the gunman here whilst he's putting down fire support, shredded what was left of Dementor, who is now off the board and gone. Yes, there you go. No cards scored as a result of that, but a very nasty Talon is now removed from the board. Forgot to mention, because Dementor died, that enabled the court to move this owl marker from on top of the red card off over here. At the end of the activation, then there was no league models nearby, so the court secure base is finally ticked up to 3 on it, allowing it to score its 2 points for the Court of Owls. But yeah, them's the break. Sometimes you just got to kill enemy models, otherwise things can start to get away from you, and the league are really wanting to turn the screw on the court at the moment now as well. Right, we're going to move back to the court now and see how I think they've only got 1 model to go now this turn, so we'll see how it rounds off. O'Malley's son was the last to go. Oh, haven't marked him as activated, we'll do in a moment. He had a fairly straightforward turn, albeit interesting. He was over here, he started with inspiration based upon the proximity of the court. He moved over here, popped down a suspect marker and scored the Shadow Claw for 2 points. Place a suspect within 4 inches of an enemy model that has at least 1 blood marker. Well, both this Acolyte and Ra's do, and so yeah, there you go. There's 2 points scored for the Court of Owls. Nice. And he then used his other tactical action to lay into Ra's al Ghul himself. And this, he put effort in, because even though the boss was unconscious, still hitting on 4s, and even with the reroll. So, but yes, overall wasn't really worth the effort that he put in, because he caused 7 points of blood damage on the head of the League of Assassins and killed him, so to speak. He's immortal, but you know, he killed him. Whatever. He's hurt and he's off the board for now. That's the important thing, which is a bit of a turn up for the books. This game is pretty brutal, I have to say. And yeah, there we go. A big model, leaving a big chunk of atmospheric space around it on the tabletop there. Yeah, so there you go. We're going to go back to the league now. They've still got a couple of models left to activate this turn. No, 1 model, sorry, to activate this turn. Just the falconry guy. We'll see what he gets up to, and that will conclude the turn's activations. Okay, falconry guy went last, and obviously the death of his master was a massive shock to him because I flubbed it, really, I did. First things first, yes, he drew his bow and opened fire on O'Malley's son there and flubbed both dice rolls. That was annoying. Didn't use his falconry to pick up a suspect marker to get that because of multiple threats. They want to score that one. It's, yes, in retrospect, I was tempted to just jump him down and pick up this suspect marker here. It would have been easy and would have meant that the Court of Owls couldn't score their Gotham is Ours thing. I did know that was an option, but O'Malley's son was a model which is temptingly close to death. Would have taken a modest die roll to manage it, but yeah, a 1 and a 2 on either the dice meant that didn't happen, and yeah, it would have been less activations for the court overall, would have put a model out of commission when theirs are so difficult to do. I was just thinking that way. Unfortunately, yeah, it didn't happen. Would have been much easier just to remove that suspect marker and deny some victory points, but it was not to be. Sometimes you just call it and it goes wrong. Dope, never mind. Yeah, hindsight's 2020, I suppose. Right, yes. So that concludes that. Next up, for the first time, actually, the league decided they were going to try and use some of their own resource points. I have been checking, trust me, I just haven't seen anything they want to do. They're going to bring on Ra's al Ghul, so they're going to play Lord of the Pits, which is Ra's own card. If a friendly model alias Ra's al Ghul has been removed from the game as a casualty, which he just has, place it in the friendly deployment zone without any damage on it. And they were just about to do that when I remembered that William Cobb has exhausted Planner himself, and he has cancelled out the playing of this card and made it put it on the discard pile. So yes, Exhaustive Planner is annoying both ways, it turns out, and yeah, that means that Ra's al Ghul will not be rejoining us for the remainder of this game. He'll have to take a little bit longer in the Lazarus Pit, I guess, to really get that kick in out of his system from O'Malley's son. Okay, well that's that. With that wasted last activation, I will go to the recount phase of turn 2 and tot up what's been going on and who scored what. Okay, right, back in a sec. Right, well, recount phase just completed and can report some things. So for the Court of Owls part, Terrible Accident does fulfill because they managed it, but they cannot score points due to Ra's al Ghul's death because he is immortal. So they've played the card, they did it to cycle the deck and they only managed to achieve that. But he's gone, and he's gone for good as far as I'm aware, so yeah, that's happened. Right, other things that happened is they managed to score Gotham is Ours because they have a suspect marker near all of the 3 named scenery pieces, so 2 lovely points for them. And I forgot to mention that this owl marker moved along a little bit at someone's death, I think it was Raish's, and then managed to fulfill its court secure bases criteria, so they get their 2 points for that because the counter moved up to 3. So yes, points still accruing for the court, and now on to the league, who did manage to score from the shadows for 2 points because they did manage to kill Gotham Butcher first, like they said they would. They played Eradicate the Order once again from their hands in the 4th phase. They still have more suspect markers in play than the Court of Owls, so they score that one. And Multiple Threats was played, and they rolled a number which matched one of the numeric counters on their suspect markers, so they get those 3 points again. So another 8 victory points altogether there for the League of Assassins. They continue to score heavily in the last phases of each turn. I actually have lost count of who's winning now. It certainly was the court, certainly was the league. Jeez, definitely was the league, and they've certainly still been scoring heavily. But there's a big old fat score pile now for the court as well. So I don't know. We're going to move into turn 3 now. The turn should be really speeding up as a lot of the heavy hitters are gone. And yeah, here we go. Let's get on with it. Well, we're into the 3rd phase, Take the Lead and Raise a Plan phase, both done. Yep, and yes, this turn, no cards played for either crew in the 1st phase. However, the Court of Owls, now they only have a deficit of 1 mastermind on their side, actually managed to win the initiative, with a 6 result to 3. So there you go, Court of Owls taking the lead this time. In the 2nd phase, Raise the Plan, the Court of Owls really did come out with what can only be called a statement of intent by playing Terrible Accident for 3 points. Again, we've seen this, current enemy boss or the model with the highest reputation cost is not in the gaming area, so they have to take out Hush. Hush automatically becomes the next in command with when the boss dies, and he's actually got bonuses. He gains a point of willpower, and he doesn't halve his inspiration range, so he's a particularly good extra boss to take. So yes, Hush, who is as yet untouched by this skirmish, is yes, he's got to die for 3 points. But also they played William Cobb's own card again, the mission as an objective, played in this phase. Target a model with the reanimated owl trait. That model removes the current enemy boss or model with the highest reputation cost from the gaming area. So it's another 3 points if Hush dies as a result of William Cobb attacking him. We went with William Cobb. Didn't have to. Could have chosen anyone. Could have chosen the court if I'd been stupid. But no, could have decided to go with William Cobb because it's thematic and he's actually got decent damage output himself. And finally, they also played Gotham Is Ours again. That's the one with the suspect markers and the pieces of scenery. The court chose the big plinth in the middle and this cabin. Sorry, here. I just kind of like it, and there's plenty of suspect markers around it now to count. And and well, for their part, the league just sort of gave up at this point. I just couldn't see any pieces of scenery which the league could really easily reach, and the court couldn't. Yeah, they just went with this pile of boxes here. So this suspect here, and this particular suspect here were played as a result of that. I don't believe they have to conform to the 4-inch rule or anything like that. So yeah, so they can be next to other suspect markers. Doesn't say, so I'm guessing they're okay. Yeah, so there you go. Another 2 points if at the end of the turn those scenery pieces each have a piece of suspect marker next to them. Right, we're now going to move on to activations. It's the Court of Owls to go first. We're going to see who can twist the screw first and hardest. Well, first out of the blocks, having just had the card played, William Cobb activated, and he zipped up here. He has genetic alteration, sorry, not mutation. So he has plenty of movement and climbing claws, so he just zipped up this cab, no problem at all, cabin even, and attacked in close combat. He activated Precise Blow, giving him an extra +1 to hit with his attack dice rolls. He used his Owl Knife, which he has a combo with, which means every two hits he gets a third before Hush rolled to defend. The Crushing trait means that Hush needed to roll 2 successful blocks to block any of them. It was ridiculous. Yeah, and well, it's pretty brutal actually, because well, here's the die roll that that William Cobb got. So he hit with everything. He's hitting on 3s. The 6 is the strength die, which is bleed 1 as well with the Owl Knives, I believe. Oh yeah, because he's got ancient weapon, he get bleed 1 on them. He got 6 more hits. He's sorry, I'm just going to bring them over. Sorry, trust me. Here's the defense die. So right, the 2 blocks take off 1 of the hits. That's so as you can remain. As you see, there's 6 dice there. That's 6 points of single points of blood damage. The bleed 1 adds another 1. Hush actually has 7 points of endurance, so Hush is super dead, just dead in 1 round of combat. That's rank. He's done a better job this time. Scheming's been bloody useful for the league, and but yeah, that no one could have stood up to that round. Well, and no one with 7 endurance could have stood up to that battery from William Cobb there. That was pure perfect rolling, and yeah, it happened. Before, yeah, as he activated, it also played as a resource. Talon's Claw came out and picked up one of the suspect markers down here to mark this acolyte as prey. Nice and easy. And as an objective card, Owl's Labyrinth was played, which is one where if that league acolyte moves during his activation this turn, he will sacrifice the 2 points of movement. If he doesn't move to prevent this from scoring, he'll take Enervating 2 for his troubles. That's just a little bit of an extra pain in the butt for the league to deal with. So yeah, that's as you can see, both sides put effort in. Sorry, I forgot to say that's where the stun damage comes from. But yeah, wow, not seen that coming, really. Hush just seems to be cursed for me, like my old days with Harvey Bullock when he used to die all the time, but Hush is more expensive and therefore more disappointing to lose. But that said, he's done a good job this game so far. He survived to turn 3 and he just took a perfect dice roll to take him out. Maybe I'm just cursed not to use him. Just one last thing, as the league realised they can play cards in their opponent's turn, so they played multiple threats again just to get that on the board. 3 points. They roll a dice, they've got a numeric count on each of their suspect markers. If that comes up at the end of the turn, then they'll get the 3 points. So obviously the suspect marker still has to be in play, but yeah, they've got the numeric counters out there. Okay, so there you go. The league are down another boss in as much time, and time now to move back to the league and see how many points they can eke out for the remainder of this game. They're still scoring strong. They've still got a good engine of suspect markers, so let's go. Ubu activated next. Yes, he had Audacity, if you recall. He moved up here. He then inspired Fear in O'Malley's son, Talon, and actually rolled enough to cause a whole bunch. Scared 2, Terror, and a bunch of other things. Didn't make much. It made a lot of difference in terms of the scared effect, because it basically meant that O'Malley's son could not block the incoming smash of the sword, which caused 6 points of blood damage and killed the Talon. Blech. So yeah, there's one down. That's another activation down for the Court of Owls. He played We Cannot Be Defeated as an objective from his hand for 2 points at the end of the turn if there's at least 3 friendly suspect markers in play within 6 inches of each other for the court, and there's plenty to choose from. So yeah, if they can manage that, then they'll get those 2 lovely points. Okay, so it's still scoring for the league, still scoring. Let's move back to the court. From Newhouse, once again being funky, he moved to here with Audacity. He used his freebie. He didn't. He wasn't inspired, so he had to use his own tactical action to pop down this suspect marker and play the Shadow Claw from the hand for 2 points. Places suspect within 4 inches of an enemy model that has at least 1 blood marker. Well, that could be Ubu or this guy here. Well, actually, no, only Ubu's within 4 inches. My mistake, sorry. And so that certainly scores those 2 points for the Court of Owls. Lovely stuff. Move on now. I think it's time for you, my buddy. Let's move on. Okay, League Acolyte with Falcon here, number 3, I believe. He was up here. He had Audacity. He opened fire on William Cobb. He wanted to go for Ephraim Newhouse, who's actually got the loot, which is scoring 3 points. But Ephraim Newhouse has Acrobat and would easily have not only dodged off both of the incoming attack dice, he'd also have got those dice back at the end of the turn because of his reanimating owl ability, so taking off extra stun damage, etc. So yes, he shot at Cobb and hit both times, doing 4 points of blood damage with his last arrow. So not bad, but he is now offensively spent. Having done that, he just jumped down with his movement action afterwards. Oh, he can't do that. He's got aim. I'm sorry, my mistake. Back up you go, Mr. Falcon dude. You are activated, but no, with aim you're not allowed to move afterwards, I don't believe. So there you go. Let's just check that. I think that's the case. Oh, well, I'll double check that later. Anyway, never mind. No time. And so there you go. That's his activation over. No cards to play as a result of that. However, for the part of the Court of Owls, they did have an objective to play, an Owl's Tail. I forgot to mention, for 2 points, they have at least 2 friendly owl markers and a friendly suspect within 4 inches of this acolyte, because this owl marker, with all the death that's been going on, was able to move up here, so more than qualifying to score the 2 points there for the Court of Owls, who've really been able to lay on the points thick in this second half of the game. So yeah, okay. I do believe we're going to go to the Court of Owls, but they really don't have anything to do, I don't think. No, they're pretty much in inspiration range. What they will do, we'll do it live. They're going to use the Shadow's Perch to move within 4 inches of any given what's it called? You know what I'm talking about. Owl marker. So sorry, I just need my right hand to do this. If they go here, they're in easy inspiration range of all their remaining talons, I believe. Both of their remaining talons, actually. So that's it. They're done, and that's the end of activations for turn 3. We're going to now move to the recount phase and catch up on who scored what. No, once again, I'm a stupid fool who forgot something. Yeah, this acolyte hadn't gone, so just wind it back a bit, he climbed up and attacked William Cobb. Looking at the objective cards, there really was nothing much better to do, unfortunately for him. And yes, he put one effort in because his effort limit was reduced, innovating 2 from earlier, and Cobb put in a couple of points of effort. One hit got through, all told, for 1 point of blood damage on the Talon there. So now I'm going to move to the recount phase. Sorry about that, everyone. Let's get on with that right now. Right, recount phase done, and I knew there was a reason I forgot about this guy. It's because he had the Owl's Labyrinth played on him, and the fact that he moved meant that he just he just lost 2 points for the court. That said, he probably should have stayed put and thrown a knife or something, but who knows? He probably wouldn't have done much. He might actually have killed Cobb with a decent roll, so never mind. Right, other cards to score for the Court of Owls. Gotham of Owls does score for 2 points for the Court of Owls. They have suspect markers nearby this, and this, so yeah, that's an easy score. Terrible accident, let me see. Yep, they took Hush out, so they get their 3 points for that. Nice. The 3 points from William Cobb's own card is already out as well, so I scored that as soon as they killed him, so yeah, that was a good 6 pointer that. For the league's part, they got multiple threats off again. They rolled a 1, and there was a 1 marker on one of their suspects, so 3 points. And We Cannot Be Defeated was duly scored once more for 2 points. So yeah, both sides still hitting heavy, but I think the court have taken to hitting heavier, harder, if that makes sense. But the league did have an early lead, so who knows? We're going to move to the last turn now. See who's going to win this game with the last few activations, perhaps. Okay, I'll see you in just a moment. Yeah, back in a sec. Turn 4, and the first 2 phases are now complete. Nice and straightforward. In the first phase, take the lead. The Court of Owls maintain their grip on the initiative, and they got first activation once again. The League of Shadows played from the shadows to the one where they have to nominate a model for death for 2 points, and they've chosen William Cobb as he is the most battered of the remaining Talons. I forgot to mention, they also managed to score Do Not Deviate from the Plan from their hand at the last phase of the last turn. Sorry, 2 points. I don't think the enemy court didn't remove any of their suspects, so there you go. They can use that to score. They did get 2 more points out of that. Sorry, my mistake there. Sorry, everyone. Right, into the second phase, and the Court of Owls play Terrible Accident once again for 3 points. Currently, Ubu is the boss for the League of Shadows, so if the court kill him by the end of the turn, they'll get another 3 points. Nice. Right, onto who got... And every model on the board has Audacity, because there's less than 4 models. There's 3 models left on each side. Right, let's get in there, do these last activations, and see who scores what. Right, so William Cobb activated first. He just hops down, neglectfully ignoring the acolyte who was swiping at him, to murder Ubu. First of all, Ubu was marked as prey by removing this suspect marker here. Sorry, my mistake, should have taken that up already. And to playing Talon's Claw. See, they're marking any model within 4 inches of a owl marker and a suspect as prey, and owl marker, suspect, prey. Lovely. And yeah, they murked him. Basically, both sides put in maximum effort. William Cobb had removed as much stun damage as possible with his reanimated owl trait in order to give himself more effort limit for the next turn in case he needed it, and sure enough he did. Well, he wanted it and he got it, and he killed just enough, including the point of bleed from his ancient weapon on his owl knives, and yeah, killed Ubu. Nasty. So yes, Ubu has gone, and yes, just to add insult to injury, another copy of Talon's Core came out as an objective and scored for 2 points, removing an immortal martyr's prey as a casualty, and they just did 4. Right, so that's that. Move back to the league now, see if they can eke anything out. Okay, and revenge is sweet as the acolyte moved up and attacked William Cobb and dealt 6 points of damage with a near perfect roll himself and no blocks from the Talon himself, obviously too busy getting his weapons out of the back of Ubu, and yeah, killed him. And so yes, that will fulfill the objective card from the shadows from earlier on in the game, but a turn even. But yes, that's that. That's his activation. No other cards played as a result of that, just scores a couple of points from earlier on. Okay, right, back to the court. and Ephraim Newhouse just dropped down and in turn murdered the Acolyte, as there's a nice fistful pile of bodies in this general area here, just gradually being added to, I suppose. Yeah, so the Acolyte is out, doesn't score any points, doesn't relate to anything. There's actually no cards left for the court to play for this particular circumstance, unfortunately for them. They've all been scored, so there you are. Okay, we'll move back to the well, I can tell you now, the court themselves, so aren't going to be doing anything. They've got nothing they can possibly do, so we'll just do this guy's turn right this second. This guy, he's going to move over here. He's got audacity, as you can see. Just lean over. He's going to pop down a suspect marker over here, and that is him finished. Okay, and that is the last activation of the game. Now I come to think of it, he has nothing he can play as a result of that. There's not even a resource he can play to cycle the deck, or the hand even, sorry. Yeah, so that's that. We're now going to go to the recount phase of the last turn, and I'll relate to you who scored what, and then we'll do the final count. See you in a sec. So, recount phase is concluded, and it's nice and straightforward. For the Owls, Terrible Accident does score, because they managed to kill Ubu as they said they would. So there you go, 3 points for them. Valuable commodities, well, Ephraim Newhouse still has those jewels from earlier, so he gets the 3 points for the court as well. For the League's part, they get From the Shadows, because they did say they would kill Cobb first, and they did. So there you are. And Eradicate the Order came out of the hand again for 3 points. They do have, it did actually go backwards and forwards, but they do now have more suspect markers in play than the court do. So yeah, they score that one. And Do Not Deviate from the Plan, because the court neglected to remove any suspect markers. They get this one again for the League for 2 victory points. So that's another 7 scored for the League, another 6 for the court. I'm going to tot up the totals and report back. Well, actually no, I'm going to do the live count for you actually. I'm just going to tot up all the cards in the right piles, and then I'll be right back with you, and we can see who's won this bloodbath. Right, well here we go. I've got a pretty weighty League of Assassins score pile in my hand. I thought they had a bit of a disadvantage because the court had way less in the deck to go, so I thought they'd easily been outscored. But then I just remembered that the League actually brings more cards to to the deck in the first place, because they've got more named characters with their own cards. So it could be up for grabs by anyone. Both sides got a really big score pile. So here we go. So for the League, 2, 4, 7, 10, 12, 14, 17, 19, 21, 24, 26, 29, 31, 34, 37, 39. Wow, that's an epic score. 39 would be enough to beat almost anyone else, and has been lower scores for every other crew. It's not like any other crew regularly scores that many, so that's a good showing there from the League of Assassins. Let's go. Right, here's the court. So 3, 6, 11. No, sorry, it's 3, 6, 8. Jeez, maths, everyone. 3, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 29, 31, 33, 36, 38, 40, 42. So 42 points plays 39. There's not a lot in that, really, is there? Wow. Geez, any mistakes I would have made throughout the course of this game really did just get magnified, because that was such a close finish. Well, that was a bloodbath, and a really high scoring one at that. That was immense fun, pretty epic. I didn't think, it's quite telling that even crews with relatively small numbers of models in them, like 6 aside, like this one, can still score the big numbers. Wow. I mean, that's just, but these crews can be quite small by necessity, so, that's how it works. That's super impressive, though. Really enjoyed that game. Really did. I thought the court were going to get, stymied on the old setting people as prey, but in the end they managed to bulldoze through the exhaustive planners to do so. And Yeah, denying Raish coming back as well was a bit of a telling blow as well. But the league just set up their suspect markers, and the court never really tried to stop them. It tried to ignore it and power through with their own scoring ability. It's kind of how you got to play solo, to be perfectly honest, anyway. And it really did show with the high scores. But thankfully for the court, they managed to keep sticking to their guns and really get the play their own game, make sure that they were able to start. And of course, killing models as part of your objectives is a general winner anyway, because you're denying your opponent activations too. Right, well, I hope you all enjoyed this game. I really did. It's been a bit of a humdinger for me. I'm exhausted. I've been messing around with a cat as well who really wants some attention, so I better go get him some. And right, any comments, leave them down below, let me see them, hopefully. Anything I missed, I'm sure someone will let me know. Please do. Please feel free. Constructive criticism and all that. I hope you tune in. There'll be more games in the future, some more interesting ones I hope as well. And I'll see you guys later on. Take care everyone, and bye bye.